in the number of problems I've solved with this really simple thing. Those are the 3 ways that I actually used human socks to solve horse problems. And these were all really big horse problems. I needed to cover her leg, but I didn't want to use the standing wraps anymore for a couple of reasons. It can stay covered and stay clean and actually heal. And welcome back to another episode of #Team Fuego. So I am making this really quick video about my new secret weapon when it comes to horse care. So I and the best part about this is it's versatile in the number of problems I've solved with this really simple thing. Okay, so this all started because I had one of my horses get tick fever, which they were like, in the 50 years this property's been a horse property, no, not once has anyone gotten tick fever. And I'm like, wow, so happy to be the first person to have this fucking problem. Ugh, such a unicorn. So my horse got tick fever, and the problem is that you have to keep their legs covered. Now I'm gonna tell a funny story about my mom, because the vet was like, okay, like take wraps, like standing wraps, and just put them lower, right? So not where they're supposed to go, down, because what happens with tick fever is the space between their hoof and their fetlock gets like eaten alive. And so you're trying to cover it so that, one, they don't get bitten more, but also so that, it can stay covered and stay clean and actually heal. But another trick is a tricky part of the situation is when you're trying to heal skin, no oxygen is not the best way to do that. And so at first I'm like wrapping this horse with these standing wraps and putting them lower, and my mom's standing there and she goes, that's not where they're supposed to go, right? I'm like, good God, woman, like, I've been training horses for 20 years. Like, you think I just missed? Like, and she's like, did the vet tell you to do that? And I'm like, gotta love when non-horse people make horse comments about how the horse stuff's supposed to go. So anyway, basically, I was seeking a new answer for this problem I was having, in that I needed to cover her leg, like the bottom of her foot, but I didn't want to use the standing wraps anymore for a couple of reasons. One, because you can't leave standing wraps on indefinitely. You have to take them off, put them back on, take them off, put them back on. And this was like a pretty messy situation, and so the standing wraps were absolutely disgusting. Not to mention the fact that no oxygen on healing skin keeps the skin as it is. It doesn't actually help it heal, it only helps maintain. And so I had all these issues that I was like, I didn't have an answer. And she said something about the fact that they make socks for horses, and I was like, that's weird. But I looked up socks for horses, and if you do that, they're like $80. And I was like, okay, like, this is stupid. Like, how are socks for horses that expensive? And so what did I do? I went to the dollar store. I should probably make a video telling the story about how I've even survived in the horse world to begin with, and how I got my start, because one of the things I will say is all of my solutions, I try to find the cheapest possible solution, especially because horses like to destroy stuff. Like, my horse's blanket is literally held on by twine right now, because he just will destroy it. He has a problem. And so, but this other horse, she needed a solution that not only covered that part of her foot, but it also needed to stay in place, and it also needed to provide coverage with kind of breathable coverage. And so what I did was I went to the dollar store and got tube socks. Because tube socks are the kind that have like the stretchy material. So they for instance, like if you put a tube sock on, it has the top ring that like holds it in place, and then it has like the stretchy material. So whether your leg is this big or whether your leg is this big, it stretches to meet how your leg is shaped. So what I did was I cut off where the heel is of the sock. So I kept the heel. So what I did was covered her foot from the bottom all the way up to the fetlock. So it was entirely covered. It was also with the tube sock, so it was expanding and contracting to the part of her leg that it was on. It also covered all the way down her heel so that everything was covered. And then because of the tube material, since it was a little stretched out, it also, so it had that coverage aspect, but it also had a little bit of oxygen that could get through. I am the way your son don't need. And they were also $1. Actually, it was 4 socks for $1. So in addition to the fact that it was covering and doing everything, that it checked all these boxes, everything that I needed them to do, it also was a cheap solution in the sense of I could have easily, which I didn't do, I changed them every other day, but I easily could have thrown all the socks away, and this solution would have cost $7 in total if I had to do it for a week.
Hey, that's pretty good.
This is just an example. That's not necessary. I only kept them on as long as she needed them. It was a great solution to this problem, and it was immensely helpful in me helping heal her the actual wounds from all the tick bites, and not just the you know, there are so many aspects to this stupid problem. And so the socks I just found were incredibly useful, not to mention not $80, because and I will tell you, they will destroy them, right? Like, which is okay. You feel so less guilty about it when it costs you 50 cents, like, for 2 socks. So anyway, the point is that these socks provided pretty much everything that I needed. But what happened next was the really interesting part of the story. So then I had a horse that had scratches, and scratches is a fungus that they get, and normally on like the white legs, because those are the weak ones or whatever. And what's very interesting about scratches is I don't know if it's bacterial or, sorry, off the top of my head. But anyway, the point is that it grows in the sun. So when you treat your horse's scratches, if you put your horse away and then your horse's white socks have access to the sun, then it will make the scratches worse. And so whether you're treating it or not. And so what I did for this horse that had scratches, and he has 2 white legs. He had it on 2 legs, which, for the record, another fun mom moment where she was like, you should really look up how to not get your horse, like how to avoid scratches. Scratches is pretty much unavoidable to a point, because my horse is taken care of every single day and his legs are cleaned every single day. So, what my horse does in the other 23 hours of the day, I can't control. So if your horse has scratches and somebody is telling you that you're not doing enough to keep your horse away from scratches, just know that it's not avoidable like that. That's not how this works. So, point being that I was like, crap. And it was funny because I talked to one of the guys in my barn, and he was telling me how to deal with scratches. And I remember at the end of our conversation, he was like, this took me 9 months to get rid of, like, good luck. And so what I did, though, was I took all of the advice he gave me on how to take care of scratches, which I could make a whole video about that in and of itself. Comment below if you want a video on how to actually take care of scratches and the best methods, because what a vet tells you and what your, like, theory knowledge and applied practice, they're a little different. And the moral of this story is that I ended up getting rid of my horse's scratches in 1 month. And for people who have had to fight scratches, everybody who has had to fight scratches in their life knows that that statistic alone is that's insanely successful. Most people, it takes 6 to 8 months minimum to get rid of the scratches. And I will tell you, my secret weapon is socks. So what I was doing was, not only was I putting the socks on him for the other 23 hours of the day that he was sitting in the sun and the scratches were just continuously growing because I can't do anything about the sun and the daylight. Not only that, but I was keeping the socks on while I was riding him. So the sand from the arena when I was working him, he didn't get any other, like, it was just covered for, whether or not it was doing that much. I would just say that it was helping keep the progress I was making with getting rid of the scratches. It was helping the socks were just helping maintain it, whether he was out in the pasture or whether I was riding him. And they're socks, so they were on the lower part of the legs. They didn't get in the way of the boots. They didn't get in the way of anything. It is kind of just, they're just there. And they also didn't move while he was working. They didn't bug him at all. So there was no harm in keeping them on. There was zero afterthought. So the socks ended up being the secret weapon to make sure that everything that I was doing to get rid of the scratches was also being continued in all the time that I wasn't with him. So that was the second time that I used socks to solve a problem. Human socks on a horse. And then the third time, my best friend actually texted me and was like, have you ever had a rat eat your horse's feet? And I was like, no. Like, what? Like, rats eat horses' feet? And I was like, my immediate thought was, if I was a horse and a rat was eating my foot, I would kick it. Like, I would kill I'm like, how would you not just... But for horses that are maybe older or very zen, let's say, they may not even notice it. And so one of the things that I did, and this had nothing to do with the rats eating my horse, but with rats and mice, they don't like the smell of peppermint or spearmint essential oils. And so I was using peppermint and spearmint in my trailer to keep the rats and the mice out, especially during the winter when it started raining. And so I told her, like, okay, at the bare minimum, I would put socks on your horse, because then at least they're eating the socks before they're eating the horse. But as a bonus, if you put peppermint oil on these socks, I have a feeling that it's going to deter them altogether, because rats and mice don't like peppermint. So anyway, at the end of the day, I can only tell you what I've heard from her, in that it did help keep the rats from eating his feet. But I was still like, what? That's a weird problem to have. But she's kind of, she's in my circle, so I only get weird problems. So it makes sense that everybody around me only gets weird problems. Sorry if you know me. So anyway, those are the 3 ways that I actually used human socks to solve horse problems. And these were all really big horse problems. So I found it very fun that I was able to solve these problems with, either if I had 2 feet I had to deal with, 50 cents per day or every other day, or when it came to, all 4, it was $1. So I find that horse people don't accept solutions unless they cost a lot of money. But I can tell you 100% that I cut a lot of my heel time in half. First of all, simply by thinking a little bit outside the box. But the second thing being not letting something like, oh, that's not normal, or that's not something that anybody else has done, stop me from trying to solve my problem. And I really hope that somebody out there dealing with scratches or dealing with anything like that, just, I will try to make sure that I put any pictures and stuff in this video of, what it looked like, but that, that you get something out of how I was able to actually solve some of these problems, and hopefully it cuts down some of your cure time in half. Like I said, he thought I was going to be dealing with the scratches for 9 months, and it only took me 1 month to get rid of them. So think about that. And that's a person who spent 9 months getting rid of scratches. If somebody was like, if I was like, I can get rid of your heel time, I can get rid of 90% of your heel time, I don't know. I think I would listen to that advice. So anyway, I hope this has helped somebody have a little bit of a light bulb moment, and that you guys found this helpful and useful. Comment below if you want to see the video on specifically how I got rid of the scratches and what I used to get rid of the scratches, and the number 1 trick that the vet tells you to do that you shouldn't do. Just let me know. But anyway, thanks for sticking around for another episode of #Team Fuego, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys. Guys, so an exciting announcement. I have actually made a hashtag Team Fuego membership site. And just full disclosure, like 80% of what's in this membership site is completely free. It's just a chance for me to actually be able to share things with you that I can't share on YouTube. Like, for instance, an Equiband tracker spreadsheet that I made, I was unable to distribute copies of it. But now, if you simply by logging into this membership site, that Equiband tracker is one click away. So it's giving us an opportunity to be able to share stuff that I'm not able to just share on YouTube, which is, of course, just a ton of free content and information, which I'm not going to stop doing. But this membership site gives us an opportunity to, create a community where I can, give you worksheets, give you PDFs, give you spreadsheets, and we don't have to fight the YouTube overlords on, or I don't have to send you to Facebook Messenger to send me a secret code that then sends you a copy of it. This just cuts out that middleman. So I hope to see you there, and I'm really looking forward to not only continuing to post content on YouTube, but also be able to post content in this membership site. There is also an AMA button in the upper right-hand corner, so feel free to AMA. Ask me anything. All right, guys, I will see you there and have a great day.